Khamzat Chimaev is calling out some fighters, and he's getting called out by guys like Trayshawn Gore. I can't believe it. Things have really gone crazy here in MMA. We got all these topics and some predictions for the Saturday night next.
Broadcasting live from an undisclosed location. This is The Community MMA with your host, Chris Cross.
Khamzat Chimaev is all up in the news today. Right, the rumor is he's fighting at UFC 294 against Paulo Costa. The rumor is he's fighting Izzy next, and everybody wants to know what's going to happen. Who's Khamzat fighting? And that right there ought to tell you that it should be a no-brainer for the UFC. I mean, if he fights Izzy, it's a slam dunk. I hate to tell you. But then you can't put him as a co-main event under Islam Makhachev, which will be crazy too. At least it would have been 6 months ago. But Islam is still the champ of the lightweight division, so you put Khamzat on the undercard, that's going to beef that thing up nicely. So who knows what the plan is, what the UFC is trying to do, but I know there's a lot of people talking about Khamzat is fighting Paulo Costa at UFC 294. So he had something to say to Paulo Costa, right? He said, "Run, coward, run," via social media. And does Paulo Costa really want any of Khamzat Chimaev at middleweight? I mean, Paulo Costa's a big boy, but I don't see it going well for him. I just don't. I don't see it going well for Paulo Costa, if that's the case. But at the end of the day, my problem with this is, what does this actually do for Khamzat? So he beats him and he's like 3rd, 4th, or 5th in the middleweight, same thing as the welterweight. And then they're going to string him out for another 1.5 years, 2 years. I'm not convinced. I want the shot right now. Right? I want him to fight Izzy right now. So I'm willing to wait and be patient. We could wait a year if he's going to fight Izzy. Izzy could take all the time he needs. Go ahead and set that fight up. And let's get it going. I mean, Jack Shore, UFC fighter, says Izzy versus Khamzat, book it. Multiple commentators saying Khamzat versus Izzy. That would be the best opponent. So what's the problem? Oh, the problem is he's not ranked, right? He's number 3 in the welterweight division. It's clear they don't want to give him a shot there. You saw what Kevin Holland did to Ponzinibbio the other night? A guy that was 30-6, and now go back to what Khamzat did to him in quick fashion. I mean, the writing's on the wall, people. Khamzat is coming. Let the wolf eat. It's real simple. Just let the wolf eat. Kenneth Bruner weighed on this topic too, saying, I really think it's going to be Khamzat next for the title shot. The narrative is taking shape. Anik, Bisping, Akamoto, and others are publicly calling for Khamzat to be next. It'll be Izzy versus Khamzat for title and Costa versus Whitaker for the number 1 contender spot. We'll see. So, and a lot of people believe this. A lot of people were talking about this. A lot of people believe that this is what is going to happen. In other Khamzat news, Khamzat is trying to make peace with Shavkat Rakhmonov. Right? Saying on social media, peace be upon you. Chechens and Kazakhs have always been brothers. I wish you all the health, happiness, love, prosperity. May the Almighty, this month of Ramadan, bring you lots of blessings. And, because there's really no reason for Shavkat and Khamzat a beef. Let them both go into divisions and start winning. Let them both become champions. Shavkat could take welterweight. Khamzat will take middleweight. And then we'll see what happens from there. But right now, there's bigger fish to fry, if you will. There's other things that need to be into focus. So that's what you're seeing. Hopefully, if Shavkat responds, that's what you're seeing from both of these guys. Let's save it for another day. You got Bilal Muhammad saying he's willing to go up to middleweight to fight Khamzat. This is what I'm telling you earlier. He's getting called out while he's calling other people out. He's shooting up, and there's others that are shooting up for him. And I don't think it makes any sense for him at all to fight down, which would really only be possible in the welterweight division. Either way, in the middleweight, he's fighting up against somebody, and he should get a big-time shot. And then there's the people who's, he's not ranked and this, that, and the other thing. But look what he's doing to people at the same time. You got to keep it in perspective. Now, we'll wrestle or work our way, wrestle and work our way back to this topic or through this topic as the show goes on. But this Saturday night, we got a big one. Max Holloway, Arnold Allen. 1901 Arnold Allen. What? I can't wait. Such a tough prediction. Very tough. I mean, if Arnold Allen brings it, anything is possible. Max Holloway beats everybody except Volkanovski. He beats everybody but Volkanovski. So who do you think I'm going with? Check this out. In the featherweight division at UFC Fight Night, this is your main event. Max Holloway takes on Arnold Allen. And Allen is a rising contender. The guy is 19-1. Now, Max Holloway has a 3-inch height advantage. When it comes to reach, they're both pretty much even at about 70. Holloway stands right-handed. Arnold Allen stands southpaw or left-handed. Now, Holloway doubles him up in activity, but he does with everybody. Lands like 7.2 significant strikes per minute. That's ridiculous. Arnold Allen lands about 3.4 significant strikes per minute, so about half, right? Now, the takedown average favors Arnold Allen. 1.4 takedowns over the course of 3 rounds. So we'll see if he can get the job done here in terms of takedowns against Holloway, but Holloway has an 84% takedown defense, so he's going to be able to stifle or stop a lot of those takedowns. Now, he's coming off a unanimous decision loss to Volkanovski, but before that, he beat Yair Rodriguez by decision and Calvin Kattar by a decision in a fight where he landed 445 significant strikes. Now, when you talk about Calvin Kattar, Arnold Allen beat him by KO. So it didn't even take that long, 8 seconds into the second round. He also beat Dan Hooker by KO and Sadiq Youssef by unanimous decision. So Arnold Allen's going to come in here and bring it, and I expect a battle in this fight. It is not going to be easy for Holloway to win, but I'm still picking him to win this fight. I mean, the guy is too active, and his takedown defense is ridiculous. He's proved time and time again he can beat anybody on the planet not named Volkanovski. Now, how good is Arnold Allen? We're really going to find out here. But I'm not going against Max Holloway until I see him lose. That's just the bottom line. So Holloway gets the win by decision to move to 24-7, featherweight division, UFC Fight Night. Yeah, so I can't go against Holloway in this one. Can't do it. Eventually a guy like Holloway will lose and start to fall in the rankings if he doesn't get another chance at the title. But until that happens, it's just, it's one of those things. Even with like Usman going down to Edwards and Izzy going down to Pereira the first time. I didn't care about the other 2 fights. Bottom line is I thought Izzy was winning regardless. So until these guys lose, and then Izzy came back and won, but until some of these big-time fighters lose, it's hard to go against it. But there's no doubt Arnold Allen is a real opponent. It's a new opponent, and there's a lot of interest there. Now, as we sift our way through some more of the Q&A, the Michael Reynolds says, Costa been out contract negotiations for a while now. Chimaev goes up in weight class then? Okay, good test for him. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good test for both of them. But I think Khamzat just mops the floor with Paulo Costa. You know, I just don't. I don't see Costa having a shot there. MA, I don't get what the UFC is playing at. It's all about making money, right? So everyone wants to see him fight. Why not sort it out then? You know. And I don't know if he's referring to Izzy or Costa, but I just want to see Khamzat in the octagon. I mean, you know, UFC 294, that seems like we haven't even hit 288 yet. I mean, that's, you know, 94 minus 88, that's 6. That's 6 months. So they're saying Khamzat might fight Chael Sonnen, I believe, is saying Khamzat may fight Costa at UFC 294. That just seems way too far away. Way too far away. But we'll have to wait and see. Jay Floyo 11 says, do you listen to the MMA Hour while you're at work? Laugh out loud. No, I don't. I just read the news. But, you know, every time a fighter says something, there's multiple articles on it. I mean, it's not too hard to find, to be honest with you. I wish I had time like that to watch MMA Hour at work, but I'm a busy dude. Why be? I swear, if Boers would change back to his promotion he came from, I will pay all the money to see him fight at least 3 more fights until October. You know, and he goes on more. Let's say I can't express my frustration. So, yeah, and I get all that. You know, I just think at some point you got to promote yourself too, right? I mean, I get it. Nowadays with the social media, the guys got people that do this stuff and things of that nature. But you know, everything he says is a news article right now. You know, but it should just be all focused on Israel Adesanya. And if you get it, great. And if you don't, just keep the focus right there. Don't even talk about these other guys. That's the way I'm looking at it if I'm the promoter. But I feel you. Something's got to change. Because he's just sitting around waiting. I mean, it's crazy. When he calls people out, the buzz gets going. So why not keep doing it? Call on Israel Adesanya. Just simple as that. Just keep calling out Izzy. Now, another big featherweight fight this Saturday in the co-main. Edson Barboza. This guy is a guy that I thought was on the come up. Beat some quality opponents, then lost a few fights. And it's going to be interesting in his return to the octagon to see what he's capable of, because he's facing a guy that's like right in the middle of those two. But will I stick with Edson Barboza? Here you go. In the featherweight division at UFC Fight Night, this is your co-main event. Edson Barboza comes in at 22-11, taking on Billy Q. Quarantillo, comes in at 17-4. Now Barboza's going to be 1 inch taller. He's got about a 5-inch reach advantage. Both guys stand right-handed, but Billy Q doubles him up in terms of activity. He lands about 7.9 significant strikes per minute. Barboza right now 4 significant strikes per minute, and Billy Q gets a takedown every other round. Barboza, not so much. He wants to defend the takedowns, which he does 75% of the time, and keep the fight standing. Now against Bryce Mitchell, that didn't work. He got taken down 4 times and got doubled up in significant strikes. Against Giga Chikadze, he lost that fight by KO. And prior to that, he beat Shane Burgos and Makwan Amirkhani. One by KO, one by decision. So at one point in time, I thought this guy was a future, but he's been struggling as of late. Now Billy Q coming off the big win over Alexander Hernandez by 2nd round KO. He also beat Gabriel Benitez by 3rd round KO, but lost to Shane Burgos by decision. Remember, Edson Barboza beat Shane Burgos by decision, and that's going to be a big factor in terms of my pick, right? Barboza, when you look on paper, I mean, he's got the reach advantage, but it looks like he's a slower paced fighter against a guy in Billy Q that's very active, can, land more takedowns at him, but the takedown defense for Barboza is not superb, but it's pretty good. And he's going to stop those takedowns that are coming from Billy Q. Now, on the feet, it's still going to be a challenge, right? Because Billy Q is very active, but Barboza is going to find a way to win this fight. That's just the bottom line. This guy's a veteran. He's been doing this a long time. This will be his 34th MMA fight as a professional. So I look for him to win this fight. Despite losing the last two, he's still getting better. He still has time. He'll win by decision. Takedown defense and significant strikes to move to 23-11 here in the co-main event, featherweight division, UFC Fight Night. Yeah, so that's a good thing about this week is I like him to win, and of course, Max Holloway. Two guys I like, so not only is a prediction on the line, but I like the guys that I'm picking, and maybe I'm overlooking something. You never know. But I really like Barbosa and Holloway to come through on the big stage. I believe this is a T-Mobile Arena too. This is not at the Apex Center. This is like a real fight night in front of a lot of fans. That's a good thing. For sure. And as we continue, Kenneth Bruner is back saying, I think it's going to be Khamzat versus Izzy. I'm keeping the faith. The narrative is starting to get said in social media. They could do some nonsense and make him wait, but I think the only option in middleweight for title fight is Khamzat. Yeah, I mean, it really is. I mean, the closest guy they could come to that would make any type of sense was Dricus du Plessis. And I'm sorry, but Dricus is good, but come on, man. Come on, man. Is there anyone on the planet that thinks that Dricus is going to beat Khamzat? I mean, come on, man. I saw that and I was like, yeah, who else is he going to fight? He's got to fight Khamzat. I mean, Izzy's got to fight Khamzat. That's just it. Georgia Gray says Whitaker is a tough style matchup on paper. If he can beat Whitaker, I think he can mop the floor with everyone at middleweight as well. Yeah, and all this stuff about stylistic matchups. The guy goes in, and I get what you're saying, Georgia Gray, but the guy goes in, and the stylistic type matchups are meaningless. They just are. He just goes in there and beats people like with zeros on the board, except for Gilbert Burns. But that's the weight class more than anything. That's a tough style matchup, if any. One more to settle the score, says John 3:16-17. Speaking of Israel Adesanya versus Alex Pereira, and I don't think anybody wants to see that again. I mean, it's over. That's just all there is to it. Ivan the Great 8. Apparently, a lot of losers cheer for losers. Thanks for the insight, loser. Do yourself a favor and be quiet. Yeah, I made the mistake in the last podcast to talk about Trump, so I entered that space. But I was just trying to do it in a UFC world. But it is what it is. I thought it was cool that the former president was at the UFC event. They made a big deal of it. You got Kid Rock, Mike Tyson, Jorge Masvidal. I mean, I'm sorry. I had to talk about it. Kaz Malari. Great content, Cross. And you see that? I mean, do you see those two? Total opposite end of the spectrum. Much appreciated, Kaz Malari. But when you if you try to read these comments and take them seriously, you just have to laugh at them. But if you read them and take them too serious, you'll drive yourself crazy because those are two comments that are on the opposite end of the spectrum. And it could lead one to be very confused. I try not to do that to myself. I try to read and present them, comment on the comment, basically. It is what it is. But yeah, Khamzat versus Izzy seems to be the main topic of today's show. We got to get that fight popping. I don't want to see him fight Costa at UFC 294, but if he does, I mean, I'll take it, He'll be ranked in 2 divisions. If they don't bump him out of welterweight because of lack of time fighting in it, we'll see. But for now, listen, it's your boy Chris Cross. Hope you have a great day, and God bless. As always,